Romps on board an airplane. Shenanigans in the crew room. It seems flying at 30,000 feet above ground brings out the naughty side in some of us. Former flight stewardess Yvonne Lee, who was in town to promote her latest book on her flying adventures, Madness Aboard, said she was sexually harassed by a senior crew member who led her into the cargo room on the pretext of showing her around the plane.
I went there, and after finding out where the extinguisher and the light points and all the emergency equipments were placed, when I was about to go out, he thought he could be funny with me. But he didn't know that for a young girl my age, I could be really loud, and I was really loud standing up for my own right. So I had been lucky in the sense that I fought back. He didn't touch me.
Right. How did he try to be funny with you then?
He asked me to climb up a netting that actually separated the cargo content from the emergency door. And part of the training, yes, we were taught how to actually scale up the cargo netting, to check on location of fire and things like that. As I was descending, coming down from the cargo net, he started calling me sweetheart, sayang and things, and I noticed something was very different, the tone of his voice. So I bucked back and I told him to keep the distance, and he knew I wasn't that sweet young thing who could be so docile looking in the cargo hold.
The full story can be found in her latest book, Madness Aboard, which hit the shelves in September last year, following her first book in 2005, the bestseller, The Sky is Crazy, Tales from a Trolley Dolly. She's not the only stewardess who has written a book on life in the sky. In 2008, Singaporean Janet Chew's The Mile High Club sold over 15,000 copies. And just last year, ex-steward Potong released Fasten Your Seatbelts.
The market is good mainly because I think the interest in knowing about what goes, up at 35,000 feet, the interest is still there. People still want to know.
Yes, what is this fascination with?
The fascination, initially people thought it's all about sex and more sex and more sex. It's just so overrated. So again, people initially thought, is she going to write more about sex? And no, I'm not a sex writer, but when I write my books on airline humor, I actually have a lot of human kind of aspect to tell the passengers that beyond the so-called sex it up kind of thing, you're actually dealing with people who are having emergency, people who are having emotional roller coaster when they have to leave their home country for another place. And what happens, like in the first book I wrote about migrant workers who need to uproot themselves for economic reasons. And it's really beyond the perspective that people always assume. Another new stewardess came up with a book about airline. So the first thing they go, where is the sex part? You mean there's no sex part? Then I'm not buying the book.
In the next clip, Yvonne talks about how the airline industry has lost its glamour.